to us about the role of arts in your child's overall well-being. Okay, let's dive into. Yes, so children instinctively communicate through arts from an early age. You've probably seen children drawing with whatever they can find, including crayons, markers, pen, and other materials. Yeah, I also did this when I was much younger. You know, literally anything I can lay my hand on, I use them to create art. I don't care who owns it, right? So I just draw whatever. I even drew my mom's jotter, but okay. So now we would go to the benefits of arts, the role of arts in your child's well-being. The first one, which is art stimulates creativity and problem-solving skills. A creative idea for an art project inspires children to use their imagination, but it also develops their capacity for logical thought. So basically, when the child is given a creative project, he or she has to think, right? So that process of thinking, they develop their logical thoughts. The somewhat debunked right brain, left brain theory, if you've heard of that, is probably something you've heard of, because the right brain is more artistic and visually oriented, and the left brain is verbal, analytical, and detail oriented. It was assumed that creative people, they're right brain individual. Yeah, I was looking up this stuff 2 years ago, and I was like, oh, I'm right brain. But then little did we know that they actually collaborate together, right? The truth is that both sides collaborate, and art is a fantastic tool for assisting kids in taking a creative concept from beginning to end. Working through challenges and mistakes in their artistic expression and having fun while learning. So it's basically not to grammar you in the school, right? So this is learning, and at the same time, you're actually having fun while learning. So it's not too heavy on you. Okay. So art promotes self-esteem and self-expression. This is already self-explanatory. Children flourish when given the freedom to make decisions and express themselves without being held back by a right or wrong response. So as an artist, I can walk up to my canvas and for a stroke, I can draw on that stroke because that is what I want to do. I have the freedom to do that on my canvas, right? So it's more like some people say there are actually rules, but I believe there's no rule in art because it's basically just an expression of my feeling, how I feel at that point in time. I just want to create. If I say I just want to make a circle and that's the art, then that's the art. That's what I want to express. That's what I want to. That's what I want to pull out, right? Okay, a moment. Emanuela. Emanuela. I think she's not here. I want to confirm if they read the rescheduling email she sent. And let me call her. Moving on to the next point, art contributes to fine motor skills development. More and more students are reportedly entering schools with underdeveloped fine motor skill according to educators. So when we talk about fine motor skill, it's more like the way you control your hands skillfully, right? Welcome, Sidra. So I think we should go over the last one since it wasn't recorded, right? So art promotes self-esteem and self-expression. Children flourish when given the freedom to make decisions and express themselves without being held back by right or wrong response. There's no good or bad, unlike the schoolwork. Instead, it's all about their vision and objective. Whatever the child wants to create, he or she has the freedom to go ahead and, draw their stroke like this, put the brush like this, and, it's basically what they want to do. Now, there will be few guidelines such as draw only on the canvas. The more they can express themselves freely, they feel more self-assured, and they get the opportunity to learn new art terms, and it's also a very fantastic opportunity for language development. Then going on to the next point, we have art contributes to fine motor skills development. More and more students are reportedly entering schools with underdeveloped motor skill, according to educators. So when we talk about motor skill, it's okay. Let me talk about what lack of motor skill can cause. It can cause bad handwriting. When you see somebody struggling to pick up something on the floor, it means the person have a very tiny object. Let's say a needle, for instance. It means the person have bad motor skill, and then, like I said, bad handwriting. But then, if you have good motor skill, you'll be able to move your hand freely. And now, how arts come to play in this is the way you hold your pencil, the way you hold your brush. These things are going to determine and help you to improve your fine motor skill. A simple and enjoyable way to mix things up and improve fine motor skills to engage in creative activities. So creative activities are a fun and interesting way for you to improve your motor skills. Take the art form of painting. White paint brushes are held similarly to pencils. The strokes are less precise, and the end result is much more exciting than listing vocabulary. Of course, you prefer to draw with a pencil or pen to the brush than listing vocabulary, writing words. Of course, this is very boring. Painting helps children develop their eye-hand coordination, and as they mimic the lines, shapes, pattern, and direction of the instructor, be it watching a video or with a live instructor. So when they keep drawing those lines, it helps them to improve their eye condition and fine motor skill. We're going to the fourth point, which is art help develop visual spatial processing. Kids that have good visual spatial processing comprehend where things are in space. Right. The same ability also enables kids to draw letters and other shapes, hit the baseball, navigate the maze. This has a lot of advantages to kids. A fantastic way for kids to hone this ability is through art making. Have you ever had a child or a student try to draw their favorite character, setting, or object? Suppose they wish to create a drawing of their dog or of their cat without even realizing it. They're actually using this visual spatial processing because you've actually trained your brain to be able to observe, and now you can tell the distance between this object and this object. That's why you see freehand artists, they can draw a portrait without any measurement. So they've mastered this visual spatial processing. So now this can be learned, this can be improved on from a young age, which is even better, right? It does not only give you an edge in art, but also other activities of life and in school. Yes, so to recreate their dogs and paper by imagining its height, weight, shape, and color. So I actually did an exercise with my students some weeks ago. So we actually had a picture of a chair. It was a sofa from the front view. So I told him to imagine how it's going to look from the rear view, from the right, and from the left. And surprisingly, he was able to, bring out those elevations because, of course, he has been learning with me for 6 months. So I've been teaching him these things. So he was able to do it stress-free. All right. So moving on, Ashika is going to continue from here on the benefits of art.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ashika. I'm an artist based in Pakistan. So this is a long distance call for me. Right. So Victor, can we move to the next slide? In the same document, you've stopped sharing a screen. Right. Yeah, so there's this idea that once you like kind of get into the practice of observation through art, your memory starts to improve in the sense that you start to remember, and also even like you build this practice into your head about noticing the details about things, right? And you're able to memorize the particularities, the intricacies of different phenomena around you. So in that sense, art has the ability to build memory for you and the capacity to remember. And on top of that, because it requires so much patience to observe and then to translate and then to put everything onto a page or into sculpture or whatever your medium is, the amount of self-control and discipline that requires, it starts to translate in other aspects of your life. So in that sense, it's a really important practice for your children at a young age, so they can sort of start to train their memory and train their control of themselves, especially in this day and age where everything is so quick. They need something to slow them down and slow like their sensibilities down. An important aspect of art, because we tend to treat it as not important and not productive, the point of art is the fact that it's not productive makes it therapy from work that causes you stress because you are oriented towards constantly being productive. So it's a proven form of therapy of relaxation where your stress levels are lower, and ultimately you're just better at your job, which brings me to like my next point, right? Which is, you would think art is a waste of time, but turns out it actually increases your academic performance and your professional performance. And as we discussed earlier as well, even like you get better at sports just because you're good at art, because your spatial navigation is so much better. And there have been literal studies conducted over how art increases your academic performance. Students who were enrolled in art classes tend to do a lot better in other subjects as well, and they're more excited to go back to school because there's something to look forward to and it's a less stressful environment, you know. And if this is something that is not being provided to your child in a school environment, that it's very important that you enroll them in art classes outside of it. Which also brings us to the workshop that we ourselves are conducting, which I think Victor will tell you a little bit more about. Yeah. So art also, because I know all over the world, there's so many countries, we speak different languages, but there's one thing that you can't really translate into a language, and that's a visual language, right? And that's something that I could make could really resonate with someone who has never heard of Urdu. That's my native language, right? If they were to see something that I made and connect to it on a human level, in that sense, I am connected to someone at a very deep human and emotional level. And that's just not possible through linguistics. That requires a visual language. And to equip your child with that kind of a language at a young age, just like the proficiency that it could go to, it's just unimaginable.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to chip in a bit, right? So we just go through them once. Art stimulates creativity and problem-solving skills. Art promotes self-esteem and self-expression. Art contributes to fine motor skill development. Art helps develop visual spatial processing. Art builds memory and self-control. Art provides rest, relaxation, and reward. Art increases academic performance. Art connects kids to people and the world. So I will just share some personal stories of how art has been beneficial to me as a person, not only in my art journey, but also in my professional journey, right? So through art, I've been able to connect with a lot of individuals all around the world. I mean, even if we don't speak the same language, right? So I've had the honor of working with dignitaries and other people through art. So art is something that, like I said, not only in my art journey, even in my design journey, right? There was a time I was applying for a job, right? It was a design, not art. But once they saw I was an artist, right, it actually gave me an edge, and I was actually hired for that job, right? So art has helped me immensely to connect with people. Even I'm an architecture student, right? So it helps me to visualize. It helps me to visualize. I can just look at a building, and like I said earlier, I actually taught my students how to visualize how a house or any object is going to be from so you can just look at this sofa and just determine, okay, this is how it's going to look from the right, this is how it's going to look from the left and from the rear. So, it trains his brain, and he's still young, he's like 10 years old. It trains his brain. Now he's able to do things he was not able to do before, right? So, Ashika, you can take off from here with so how art has helped you, so personal
Yeah.
story.
Yeah, so as someone who works like a 9 to 5 job, I really, really need to unwind and remind myself to not get tunnel vision in my professional space, because I don't want my corporate life to be my whole life. And, just like a sense of purpose that I derive from going home and just being able to put things down into visual art, it's unmatched, right? And also it kind of prevents me from getting bogged down in work. It helps me kind of relax. It's kind of like journaling. It's kind of like putting your emotions down on a page. And honestly, I don't think you can survive a professional life in this day and age with how fast paced everything is without having the time to slow down and meditate on your life through something art related. It doesn't have to be visual. You can have your own medium. You can have poetry. You can have even film, just whatever your medium is. But I think at the end of the day, just to sort of sort your head out, you need to have some sort of a medium to sort of, you know, reflect through and meditate through. And in that sense, I think some sort of creative practice is very important, A, and B, and also in finding a sense of purpose that you're just not going to be able to find in your, professional title. It's just not there. So in that sense, art is very, very personal to me. And it's not about selling paintings. At the end of the day, it's something a lot more personal, a lot more journalistic in that sense. Yeah.
Yes, that's great. So, moving on, we will be talking on how to connect with your children through art, how to support your children's art journey. And okay, Ashika.
Sorry, could you repeat that? I think I got disconnected for a second.
Okay, how to support your children's art journey.
So I think the best you can do for them is to, first of all, give them the skill to be able to express themselves through art. As a parent, I think it's important to at least, it's like giving them a language, right? If your child's growing up and you never teach them to speak the language that you speak at home, how are they ever going to be able to communicate their feelings? Similarly, through art, for them to be able to express themselves in that completely different realm, you have to be able to provide them with the skills, right? So I would say find a good school, find a good art school, find a good art class, put your child in there, trust the teacher, find someone reputable and trust them with your child. And I think that's a good place to start. As a parent, it's kind of your responsibility to make sure your child has, different ways of seeing the world and different ways of processing the way they live their lives.
Okay, great. Having said that, so some really practical steps to help your children's art journey is, first of all, you need to designate a space, right? Because if there's no space to create art, they will be all around, and you don't want the house to be messy, right? So you need to designate a space for them, and you have to involve them in that process, so they have a sense of ownership. So you designate space. That's the first thing. It can be just a table, it can be a rug on the floor, but they should have that space. And now designating this space not only gives them somewhere to draw, but also creates discipline in them and self-control, so they won't go about putting paint everywhere in the house, right? So after that, then we move to designating supplies, right? So now for this art season, you're going to be like, okay, we're going to use the acrylic paint, or we're going to use oil paint. So now this actually eliminates the overwhelm of having to choose materials. So now they have everything ready, and everything will just be organized. And now it's going to be streamlined, because for this season we have the pencil. We want to use the pencil for today. Today we're going to do collage, we're going to do mosaic. So everything's organized, and that will also help you to keep everywhere in the house tidy and organized, because if that art space is not tidy, the whole house is going to look like a mess, right? So designate space, designate supply. Then now talking about time, right? You should agree with your children, okay, we're going to create art by this time every day if you have time. or you want to create with them, right? You want to be part of the process. You can say 3 times a week, but yeah, they have to be actively part of the process. So if you're going to say 3 times a week, you have to, okay, do you agree with 3 times a week? We can create art 3 times a week at our space using this material, right? So when you've designated space, supply, time, then you now, every person that has interest in something would obviously look for how to improve, right? To obviously look for how to improve on what they're interested in. Like I'm a designer, I want to improve on my design. Same as the children want to improve. So it will be in your best interest to enroll them in an art workshop, an art school, whereby they get to improve that skill. It gives them the ability to express themselves even more and even have more confidence, right? Okay. So now that actually brings us to the climax of this meeting, which is the art workshop, right? So having focused on the parents, now we need to also focus on the children. Now, having looked at the benefits of arts to the children, we organize this 8 days online drawing workshop, whereby the children get to learn from experienced tutors from different nationalities, different cultural background, tutors that are experienced, with years of experience teaching students all over the world and result. So now we brought these 4 tutors together to be able to teach your children to express themselves even better, right? Now, okay. Okay. Yeah, so I present the Elera Art Draw Up 2023. I'm so excited with this workshop. It's an 8 days online workshop. Now let's scroll down to the details and the benefits. It's going to run for 75 minutes each day, 30 minutes lecture, 15-minute break. This is everything. I mean, now during this 15-minute break, they get the opportunity to play games, also win prizes during this 15-minute break. It's also comedy. So this 15-minute break is there to retain their attention span. So they won't go on learning and learning and learning and learning. So we want them to be able to retain what they've learned for the day and be able to go back home and practice it. Throughout the span of the workshop, we have 2 projects. The first project is after the first 4 days, and the second project is after the last 4 days, right? So the second project is their final project, which of course will be picking winners, the top 3 projects. They get to win prizes and also art materials. Yeah, so while the presentation is, while the explanation is going on, if you have any question, you can drop it in the comments, in the chat. So these are the benefits of participating in the Elera Draw 2023. It helps them to unlock their artistic potential. Now, they actually learn from expert instructors, master the art of pencil drawing, fun and engaging activities. Of course, it's not just, drawing. We have that 15-minute break there to help them ease off the stress. Then they continue again, right? It showcase your talent, right? So I did not mention earlier, after the workshop, every artwork are going to be displayed not only on our website, but also on media pages, all right? Then they get the opportunity to work on exciting projects, chance to win prizes, cash prize, and art materials. Now, it's an convenient online platform, so there's no physical location commitment, so they can travel as far as you have your laptop and your sketchbook. You can have your class anywhere you are. So that's like the fun thing about having the class online. A supportive learning community. So they get to connect with students and art enthusiasts from different countries, right? And that's something every artist wants to do. You want to connect with people that have the same interests with you. You want to connect with those who share the same goals with you and objectives. And we're giving them the opportunity to do that because we don't have a community of artists, telling them or sharing their works. It also gives them an opportunity for personal growth and self-expression. We mentioned the benefits of art to the children. So those benefits are growth, self-expression, of course. And the cost of the workshop is $60. But for those attending the webinar, we're actually giving a 20% off. So now you can pay $40 to join the workshop and help your children to unleash their artistic potential. That being said, if you have any question, you can unmute and ask a question. You can drop them in the chat box. Are there any questions? Okay. Okay. So in the absence of question, the webinar is going to come to an end. I am glad we have taken value from learning how art can be beneficial to our child and the action to take in order to promote and help our child in their artistic journey. And thank you all for joining the webinar.
Thank you for joining, everyone.
Okay, do enjoy the rest of your night or your day. All right, so I just shared the document. So if you want to have a look at the document, it's in the chat now.